Okay, so I hate to do this to you, but I'm going to pull something out from your Instagram account and I'm going to ask you to comment on it, okay?
Oh yeah, there I am.
Okay, what's going on here?
Yeah. That video ended up on the BBC, surprisingly, because there was trees coming out of the ground and flying across the
Wow,
sky.
that's
So
that's crazy.
basically, that
Yeah.
was right as Hurricane Irma, which was a hurricane that hit the Gulf Coast of Florida in 2017. That was minutes before like the eye of the storm came, right? And you want to talk about technology and communication? Oh my God. So usually newscasts are structured where like you have a slot, you're going in that slot, and then that's it. There's no structure when it comes to a hurricane because the producers are just, we have like these earpieces and they're talking to you and saying, okay, you go, you go, you go, and you're just communicating with them saying there's something crazy over here. Rules, traditional rules are thrown out the window. And so I was at I was stationed at the Emergency Operations Center in my county. I covered a whole county. I was what was called a bureau reporter. And so, I was in a really safe place because that building has Category 5 hurricane shutters. So, super safe place, but I had stepped outside because I was like, hey, like the storm is going to come through here, like the eye of the storm is going to come through here at any minute. Do you want one more quick, live shot outside before we all have to go inside? And they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I could barely hear the producer in my ear because, there's massive wind and chaos. And so I'm listening and I'm listening. And what that clip doesn't show, so I did my live shot. What that clip doesn't show, I have the full version, I think, on my YouTube, is the chief meteorologist, Jim Farrell. Love him. He's he's yelling at me saying, Olivia, get inside now. And he's doing this live on TV. It's like a very raw and real moment because he was trying to tell me that the hurricane was much closer than we anticipated. So, like, yeah, I put my life in extreme danger, but I was right by a door. There was literally a line of firefighters next to me. So, like, I was in the best case scenario, should anything have happened. But yeah, that clip, made it on the BBC. It made it on like the Today Show because there was literal trees getting uprooted and like flying like if you've ever seen Wizard of Oz, like it was like a scene from Wizard of Oz. Yep. I still can't believe some days that like that used to be my life. Just it's very weird to look back at.
Yeah, that's crazy. And you know what's even more crazy is that as you were going through that story, which is obviously insane, as you were going through that story, I could tell that you've been in even more dangerous situations in the past.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Talk about dangerous. I mean, I've had gunshots fired behind me, like while I was, and that's nothing to laugh about, but it is just kind of crazy that, reporters go out in these insane situations, but when you have a job to do, you're kind of just like in the zone, and then you don't think about it till later, like, oh my God, I was just a tree could have just smacked me in the head. Like it could have knocked me out on live TV. Thank God it didn't.
Okay, so if we understand correctly, being a TV reporter was something you always wanted to do ever since you were a teenager. So you went through the experience now of being in front of camera, being part of the action, breaking the news to people. But now, and then you realized, okay, this is not for me anymore. This is not my dream anymore. I want something else. Just speaking with people in general, this is something that happens, this is very common, where people start a new job or a new career and they spend some time on it. It can be months, can be years. Then they realize that this is not what they expected or it's not matching what they wanted in life. But usually they don't quit until something drastic happens, right? There must be a breaking point that tells them, okay, now it's time to leave. No more. I don't want this anymore. So, what was this breaking point for you?
I actually have a story, and I've told this a couple times, and it's like it's the story of essentially my breaking point when I decided I couldn't do it anymore. Um, so I was, it was starting to build up that I realized that there was a lot of things about the industry that I found troublesome and that I didn't want to be a part of. But what happened was one day I was reporting on a story, and I was the only reporter there because I happened to be close by and I heard it on the scanner, the police scanner that we had to carry around. There was two men who were roommates, and they were in their 60s or 70s. They were both in, using walkers. They weren't very mobile. Anyway, their home was struck by lightning and it caught on fire, and the home was destroyed. And yeah, that happened a lot in Florida because I was a reporter in Florida and there's a lot of, bad storms there. And so I headed over to the scene. Fire department was on the scene. The two men were okay, but their homes were destroyed. They had all these medications in there that were destroyed. They were just very distraught and didn't know what to do. And so they decided to speak with me. And my whole goal of the story was to make sure that people can send donations, food, clothing, money, help them get whatever they need. And I was very excited to put the story on the airs because I wanted to help them. So, you know, I'm about to go on the 10 o'clock news. It was about 9 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear something on the
Mm-hmm.
scanner that there was like one car, like it was a singular rollover crash, they call it. So one car rolled over, person was fine. They walked out. They just, their car kind of went into a ditch. It was a very desolate road. Nobody was there. So there was no like blocked traffic or anything. It was fine. It was not a story. And so I ignored it because no one was hurt. It was all good. And I didn't want to leave the story that I had planned on doing. And so about 10 minutes later, I get a call from my producer and he said, "Hey, did you not hear about that crash? You need to go to that." And I said, "Yeah, but it's nothing. I mean, it's not news. The person walked away. There's no blocked traffic. It's fine." Well, he forced me to go because he had that seniority over me. And I had to abandon the story about the men that I thought was really important to tell their story to get them help. Um, they still ran it, but a very short
Mm-hmm.
version compared to what
Mm-hmm.
it was supposed to be. And I ended up doing my live shot, we call it. That's, the location where I go live. I ended up doing my live shot on this dark, buggy road with an abandoned vehicle. It made no sense, and I felt stupid. Like, why am I here telling people that there's an abandoned car on an abandoned road where nobody was hurt? And so that had happened to me so many times before, but for some reason it was that night that like was the final straw, and I went home and my husband was just my boyfriend at the time, and I like laid on the ground and just stared at the ceiling for like half an hour, and he's like, "What is wrong with you?" And I was like, "I gotta leave. I can't do this anymore." And so the next day I started my job search process, and it took about 2 months to secure a new job. And I was heartbroken because I put my heart and soul into that career and I wanted to do it since I was 13, like I said. So coming to terms with the fact that I had to leave was really tough, but I realized that I could use my talents in other ways, still help people, still tell people stories. So I don't regret the decision at all.